Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will complete this chart today and see some more details of this in different diagrams. So we have seen that the research in our domains starts with a focus of interest in the real world or in the intellectual world that has been created by others. And then the objective is to convert all this, or abstract it out as scientific knowledge, which has certain characteristics, and validity and validation by peers is the prime characteristic of the scientific knowledge. Okay, we have always to be open to the critique of the peers. And this scientific knowledge is broadly categorized into two broad categories in all our disciplines. That is, one is the idiographic scientific knowledge, which is about the descriptions, explanations, evaluations, predictions, prescriptions with reference to some specific thing. That thing could be an object, can be a system, can be an event, can be a process, can be a variety of such things. And the other category of the scientific knowledge is the generalized knowledge, theoretical knowledge, which is in terms of concept, in terms of model, in terms of classification, in terms of taxonomy, pattern, model, theorem, law, etc., etc. Okay, these are the outcomes of scientific research. Okay, so your PhD thesis can have a combination of these two. All right, it can have a combination of these two. However, good thesis must have this. That is the nomothetic theory, because research is essentially about creating new theoretical knowledge. Okay, which would mean new concepts or new relationships of the within the concepts, or new theory, new theorem, new new conceptual understanding, new mathematics, new model, new rules, new guideline, new checklist, new standard. Okay, all of that. So that is the main purpose of research. Research is about creating theories. So researchers must have a liking of the theories. So far you may have used the word, it's very theoretical, it's not practical, in a very superficial manner. Regarding theory, Einstein had said that there is nothing more practical than a working theory. Okay, so you need to develop a deep respect for theory. Okay, because theory gives you this flexibility to apply your knowledge in different contexts. Mere practical knowledge limits you to specific contexts. But once you understand something theoretically, then you can apply that in a variety of situations. If you understand something only practically, then you can only do it in that particular context. But if you understand something theoretically, then you can see how that concept can be applied in different situations, in different contexts. Okay, so developing new theories is the job of the researchers. You have to aim to develop some theories. Okay, and development of that theories will happen. Your input is, two things are your input. The current existing theories are your inputs. A lot of theories have already been created. All of this is your input. Okay, all the books that you read, they are full of theories, right? Whatever discipline you may be in. So current theories are your input, and the current world that you are interested in, that is your input. You take these two, apply your thinking, do logical reasoning, do experimentation, do observation, apply analysis techniques, and you enrich this world of theories. So in order to enrich the world of theories, you need to use the existing theories. And these theories are in our areas about the real world. So you take you observe the real world, or you simulate the real world and then observe it. You do a data collection through a variety of data collection techniques. We saw that in the last class. It could be you maybe your data may be primary, secondary, or tertiary. Your data may be in a natural setting or in a synthetic setting, in an artificial setting. Okay. Your data may be single dimensional, multi-dimensional. You may be actively probing or passively probing. Okay. Your data may be qualitative or quantitative. It could be objective or subjective. It could be structured or unstructured, exact or fuzzy. Variety of data. And for each variety of data, there are specific data analysis techniques. There are statistical techniques that you can apply on quantitative data. And there are other techniques that you can apply on qualitative data, which are different from statistical techniques. There you have to apply more of your thinking. Okay, you have to categorize, cluster, those kind of techniques you have to apply. Okay, so different analysis techniques for different kind of data. And you have to be mindful that in your observations, you don't incur these kind of errors, that your data is not unclear, that your data does not have inaccuracy, that your data does not have imprecision, it does not have bias, it doesn't have irrelevancy, so that your data does not suffer from these deficiencies. In some situation, and in fact in many situations, it will be difficult to have data which is not at all deficient in these things. So what do? When you know that data that you collect may be imprecise, may not be so precise, that the data you collect may have some bias, the data that you have may have some inaccuracy, the data that you collect may be unclear. So what do? So you develop processes, you develop techniques for collecting data in a manner that the inaccuracies, the biases, etc. are taken care of, because you have collected much larger data. Okay, and through a process of averaging, those inaccuracies are automatically addressed. Or you have taken the median of a large set, so you hope that the outliers are already addressed. Okay, so there are techniques of statistics that can be data sampling techniques, data collection techniques that can be applied to avoid these problems of specific data values. Specific data values may have problems. You can have only so much of trust in a specific data value. But you collect a lot of data so that the errors, the problems in specific values are not going to affect your overall theory. Okay, you have to be mindful that your specific data value may have some problem. Not every measurement that you do is accurate, is free of bias, is precise. Okay, so if you just take one measurement and try to develop theory based on one measurement, it may be erroneous. It may be just an exception. Okay, so how much data is required depends upon the problem. How much data should you collect? Okay, there are norms for that. And then you apply your thinking, your analysis, your logic. So research thinking. Okay, so basically logic and imagination. You got to be creative in your research. So you have to imagine many things, and you have to apply the logic. By applying the logic, what you do, first thing that you do with the data is maybe you need to annotate it. Write short notes about the data values that you collect. You annotate your data, you document your data, you summarize your data, you search, you sort, you decompose, codify, tabulate, juxtapose, compare, correlate, select, filter, categorize. Okay, all these processes, a combination of all these processes is what happens in the research. Okay, go through this list. All these processes that are basically mental processes. For some, you will also use paper pen. For some, you will also use computer. All these are the mental engagements that you carry out with your data. And all this require application of logic. Okay. There might be some spelling error somewhere. Because a spell checker doesn't work in a spreadsheet, so there might be some. I just noticed one. Okay. So as a researcher, you need to be comfortable doing all of this. You would have to do all of this as a researcher. These are the intellectual engagements as a researcher. Okay. And these engagements are further accelerated by applying the techniques of data analytics. Data analytics support these engagements. Okay, because data is so huge, managing it mentally can become a challenge. So you apply the techniques of data analytics, but this is important. Essentially, you are doing this. You are just extending your mental activities through the techniques of data analytics. Okay, and in application of all these activities, while undertaking all these activities, you may create these. You may have these deficiencies. You may be causing you may be doing some misinterpretation of something. Possible. While analyzing the data, you may be having certain bias. You may be looking at some data and overlooking some data, or you may be looking for some fact and overlooking at some other fact. What suits your thinking, you may give that more importance, and what does not suit your thinking, you may ignore it. Okay, or your analysis may be clumsy, incomplete, misplaced focus. You are putting your focus at a wrong place, inconsistent, overgeneralization. ठीक है, overgeneralization can be very dangerous. ठीक, misleading presentation, weak argument, और लिमिटेड रिव्यू. ज्यादा चेक नहीं किया, जो डेटा आया था उसको ज्यादा चेक नहीं किया कि ठीक है कि नहीं है, या जो आर्ग्यूमेंट हमने बनाया उसको ठीक से चेक नहीं किया कि आर वी रियली आर्ग्यूइंग इट करेक्टली और नॉट. We have not reviewed the work done very carefully, very rigorously. Possible. Okay, so we have to be sure that all these quantitative and mathematical or qualitative analysis techniques that we or exercises that we do not suffer from these bias, these problems of misinterpretation, bias, clumsy, etc. Okay, so this is one aspect of the research thinking, that you apply the processes of logic. We undertake these tasks, avoiding these attributes. And the other thing is we have to imagine a lot. We have to be creative people in order to undertake research. Good research requires creativity, innovation, okay, and that requires imagination. So you got to imagine things. So what all do you imagine? These are the things that you imagine. You imagine your research question. It doesn't, nobody gives you a ready-made research question. For the PhD, what is the objective of your research? You got to design that. And that's a very, very creative exercise. Very, very creative exercise. Often I come across very poorly imagined, not novel research questions. Okay, what people do is they pick up the research questions already created by someone and make a very small change and make it as their research question. Okay, you got to imagine the assumptions, list out your assumptions. So you got to imagine your assumptions. You got to imagine a lot of concepts, because you might be introducing new concepts that need to be imagined. You may have to imagine mathematical objects, new mathematical objects in your research, or criteria for evaluation. You will have to imagine a hypothesis. As you imagine research questions, you have to imagine your hypothesis, your models, your plans. All these are creative exercises. So research on one hand is very, very creative and engagement. Okay. On the other, it is a very, very logical engagement. While doing this, you are not creative. You have to be very, very logical. So your creativity is here and your logic is here. So you apply both creativity as well as logic for undertaking research thinking. Okay. So look at this diagram, this complete chart now. Okay. These theories are subject to this research thinking. And this research thinking generates scientific knowledge. Okay. These observations that you carry out on all of this or any of this goes into the formulation of scientific knowledge. So these theories are input to the scientific knowledge, and these observations and measurements are input to the scientific knowledge. And this thinking, research thinking, is input to the scientific knowledge, to the creation of scientific knowledge. So three arrows are coming, one from this research thinking, one from this data measurements, and one from the theoretical world. These together generate new scientific knowledge. Okay. Look at this chart carefully now for 2 minutes, or even more if you like. I don't mind. Look at this chart very carefully. And the big picture, not the content of each box so much. Look at the bigger picture now. And I am repeating, even at the risk of sounding too repetitive, the end product must have theory in it. The purpose of research is to create scientific knowledge, which essentially means new theories about what, why, how, a new technique of doing things, a new guideline for checking things, a new description of things, but you must enrich the body of the theory, theoretical knowledge. That is the sign of a good research. Experimentations are required. In order to create good theories, we need to do a lot of experimentation in between. But why experiments are required? Because we need data in order to formulate theories. So data may be readily available. If it is readily available, we need not experiment. But if data is not readily available, we need to experiment. Sometimes the experiments are also readily available. You just have to perform those experiments and collect the data. But sometimes, and that's an innovative research, you got to design new experiments to collect data. And sometimes in order to design new experiments, you may have to design new instruments for doing the experiments. Sometimes new material is to be designed for collecting data. Sometimes new machines are to be designed for collecting data. Sometimes new sensors need to be designed. New instruments need to be designed in order to collect data. So you design in new things so that you can carry out new experiments. So a researcher may also have to be a designer. Right? Because in order to perform good quality experiments, and those experiments that nobody else has performed before, okay, the world of science is full of famous experiments. Okay, even the world of social science is full of famous experiments. Those experiments have helped the scientists to create new theories and new understanding. Development of those experiments is a very, very innovative task, very creative task. Because in order to develop those new experiments, one has to have very deep understanding. Okay. You cannot just design experiment without having deep understanding. So you create new experiments. So the design that you need to undertake as part of research is, A, you are wanting to create a new object, and new object could be a machine, could be an algorithm, could be a software program, or could be a new financial instrument or a new HR instrument. So you develop that based on the current understanding and an innovative approach that you want to bring in, and then you experiment and see how does it work, and then validate it. Is this chart understood by you all? Can I move on?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us see this picture. Is this picture visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Process I have already explained. This is another picture from one paper. Just re-explaining what I have already explained in a particular context. So this is a paper which is trying to give that what is the research, and by looking at various researchers work in computer science education, this group, these three authors have created a general abstract model of what computer science education research is about. A similar model can be created in any other field. Okay, this is, so just look at it as a general approach. Okay, so as the input to research, you have the theory of that discipline, you have some stakeholders, okay, and you have some tools. These are the three main inputs. Okay, and the theory is of two types. One is theory about how to do research, and theory of that subject that you are doing the research in. Okay, you take a specific focus of interest, do the data collection, analysis, and create new design, new tool, new methods of doing analysis and data collection, or the new theory in the main discipline. These are these four blue dotted lines are the outcomes of the research. So you may have a combination of these. Essentially these two, that you give a new theory to the word of the discipline, you give a new theory to the word of research, how to do research, you give a new theory there, develop a new process of doing research, develop a new process of, develop a new theory for the discipline, or develop a new tool for measurement, for observation, for data collection, for analysis. Develop a new tool. By undertaking this task, you develop a new tool. And you may have to design something new so that you can collect data from it. You have designed a new operating system, for example, and then you run that operating system and collect data about it. You have designed a new table and collect the data from that table. What kind of data can we collect from the table or about a table? Suppose you have designed a new table. What kind of data, just as a guess, what kind of data may be useful to collect about the table?
Sir, we will collect the data that what should be the height of that ideal height of the table.
No, we have already designed it. So what should be the height, etc.
Okay,
that
already
decided, and we have already designed it. We have developed that table now.
Sir,
Now we want to collect some data. What
how
kind of
much
data can be collected?
how much load it can be?
Very good. Anything else?
and satisfaction rate
Huh?
satisfaction rate of people who are using this.
Okay, ठीक है. People's perception about this, right?
Yes,
User satisfaction. Okay. और बताइए.
yes, sir.
Sir, durability.
And sir,
Durability, perfect. और
how we can modify this table according to the need of people.
okay, वो flexible है कि नहीं है? और और क्या डेटा कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं? ये सर्दियों में कैसे काम करती है और गर्मी में कैसे काम, बारिश में क्या होता है? ठीक है, तो लोड जो आपने कहा वो एक शब्द कह दिया, लेकिन अलग अलग एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशन में कैसे बिहेव करती है?
सर वो ड्यूरेबिलिटी में आ गया।
ना, हाँ ड्यूरेबिलिटी में आ जाएगा, लेकिन नहीं भी आएगा, क्योंकि एक जैसी एनवायरमेंट कंडीशन में ड्यूरेबिलिटी आएगी, लेकिन चेंजिंग एनवायरमेंट कंडीशन तो थोड़ा अलग है। ठीक है, तो बहुत तरह का डेटा कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं। तो आप सोचिए, आप आपके डिसिप्लिन में आप क्या बना सकते हैं रिसर्च करके, और फिर उसके बारे में क्या डेटा कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि वो कैसा बना, उसका असेसमेंट करेंगे, उसका इवेल्युएशन करेंगे। ठीक है, तो दिस प्रोसेस इज कॉमन टू ऑल रिसर्चर्स। Very carefully look at this diagram. This diagram was in a way already there in the chart that I showed you in the last 3 classes. But this is a very simpler version of that. That was a more complex chart. This is a very simple version of that, because it doesn't have much details. ठीक है, इसी तरह का एक और फ्रेमवर्क है ये। This is a conceptual framework for doing research in engineering education. तो बहुत सारे इंजीनियरिंग एजुकेटर्स की पीएचडी थीसिस और रिसर्च पेपर्स को एनालाइज करके this framework has been created, that what kind of process do researchers in engineering education take. What do? They look at some teacher variables, they look at some student variables, they look at some context variables, and look at the kind of the variables. ठीक है, they apply some instruction intervention, कुछ चेंज कर देते हैं इंस्ट्रक्शन के प्रोसेस को। Okay, this requires innovation. Bringing a new education technique requires a new innovation. And then you see what is the effect of this innovation on the teacher outcomes, on the student outcomes, and on the context outcomes. So this is a very simple framework that can be used to plan engineering education research. A similar chart can be created for any other discipline. यहां पर इंस्ट्रक्शनल इंटरवेंशन की जगह हम कह देंगे इनोवेशन, right? And here are the context variable can remain. Of course, the context will be different. So there will be context variables. There will be stakeholder 1 variable, stakeholder 2 variable, and context variable. ठीक? And then innovation. And then we can have stakeholder 2 outcome, stakeholder 1 outcome, and context outcome. This is now applicable to any other discipline. You get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so research would have innovation, input variables, and some outcome. So you bring some innovation, maybe design a new algorithm, design a new process, design a new machine. And so this is innovative research. You are designing a new thing, you are changing the new word. You are not just understanding it, you are bringing something new to the world. And then see its impact on certain things. On the you see its outcome. So a lot of engineering research would be like this. You design something, develop something new, And a lot of management research can also be like this. You develop something new here and see how does this new innovation work with reference to the input variables and what is the result on the outcome variables. How does this innovation change the outcomes with reference to the given input variables? This is how you design your research. Okay. Here is another chart diagram that I want you to understand. All these diagrams are essentially showing the same thing, but showing different pictures will actually strengthen your understanding. Two boxes. One is the body of knowledge, and body of knowledge, you see very clearly showing the research results contribute to the body of knowledge. The objective of the research is to create new body of knowledge. एक नई ईंट बना देना रिसर्च का ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं है. ईंट कैसे बनाई जाए ये नॉलेज क्रिएट कर देना रिसर्च का ऑब्जेक्टिव है. यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दिस. A researcher is not primarily motivated to create new things. A researcher is primarily motivated to develop the knowledge of how to create new things. You understand the difference in the two?
Yes, sir.
What is the difference?
Sir, we have to create a method or a theory which can be applied to make or to design new things. But we do not have to design using already theory. But we can design things to use them to create another theory.
Okay. और कोई?
In research process, the main focus is on that how means how to create a design, not on that how to use of a design to create the new thing.
Okay. Okay.
The purpose of research works on the generalization, sir.
Yes.
Ki,
Yes.
what
Yes.
is the generalization framework we used for making some kind of things?
So that others can design.
Yes, sir.
You develop theories so that many other people can design using your theories. If you only have designed, that does not create the body of knowledge. See, a painter, when he creates a great painting, he may or may not create new body of knowledge for the painters. उसने खुद अपनी पेंटिंग बनाई और किसी को पता नहीं कि वो पेंटिंग कैसे बनाई. बहुत खूबसूरत पेंटिंग है. So it's a work of art, not a work of research. A researcher has to contribute knowledge so that the society can use it. Use it in the sense to create new things or to understand things. Theories are important because theory, as Khushbu just said, generalizations. It is about generalizations. Others can design. If it is a theory about design, then others can design. If it is a theory about explanation, then others can explain. If it is a theory about prediction, then others can predict. Okay, so research process contributes to the body of knowledge. किस तरह की knowledge है? दो तरह की knowledge है. एक तो है जिस एरिया में हम रिसर्च कर रहे हैं उस एरिया की knowledge, research domain, computer science, electronics, management, social science, whatever. That's the research domain. And the other is a knowledge of the research methodology. What we are doing in this course and what we did in academic writing course. Okay, so knowledge of the research methodologies and the knowledge of the research domain both or either of this, or at least this research domain is increased as an engagement of research. And we use this body of knowledge to undertake the research process. So we apply these research methodologies and we develop a good understanding of the discipline that we are in. Okay, so research processes help, and then we create new theories. Yeah, this is a cycle going on. Research processes are continuously revising the body of knowledge. It's a continuous process. As a society, we are continuously doing it. Okay. Here is another very interesting diagram. Same paper. At the center is a system development. System कोई भी system हो सकता है. ठीक है? In all your areas, you are familiar with many systems. So objective may be to develop some system, right? So in order to develop systems, you need to observe the existing systems. Lot of observation are required. So existing systems need to be observed, right? Through case study, through survey, through field study, through variety. And these systems could be prototype, could be product, or could be technology in various forms. And from those observations, you further improve your systems. You observe the systems and you improve the systems. Observations work two-way. Observe, think of something, improve. You experiment. System development requires observation and experimentation. Simulation करेंगे, field में experiment करेंगे, lab में experiment करेंगे. Okay. And we build theories, conceptual frameworks, mathematical models, methods of doing things, procedures develop karna. All that is theory building. So theory building is very, very important. And in applied research, system development is also very, very important. You are developing some system. So this is innovation. This is the innovation that, so superficially one will say, I have developed this machine, I have developed that algorithm, I have developed that system. But at the deeper level, one would say, I have developed a theory to develop this. One can say, I have developed an operating system, for example. And one can say, I have developed a theory of building new operating systems. So we are developing theories and we are developing systems. And in this interplay goes on in an interactive manner. So as applied researchers that you are, focus on developing some system, some new system that doesn't exist, which is an improvement on the existing systems in a significant manner. And not just developing the system, because that's a part of the industry professional. Building a theory also, so that many other systems can be developed using that theory. Have you understood this? Yeah, I think I will stop here unless you have questions. Or we talked about research questions. Okay, let's just look at some example. I'm taking this example of software engineering. But This can be applied to many other disciplines easily. What are the research results? What kind of outputs or what kind of deliverables do the software engineering researchers contribute? They may contribute a new procedure or a new technique. They may contribute a new qualitative or descriptive model. They may contribute a new empirical model based on observed data. They may contribute a new analytical model. They may contribute a new tool or a new notation or a new language. Okay, they may contribute a specific solution to a specific problem. They may give a judgment whether it is good or bad, something like that, or they may just report something, a description of something in detail. Now, this is applicable to many other disciplines. So how this researcher, this paper writer, looked at a lot of papers on the software engineering and found what do they do? What do they deliver? What is the end result of their research? So this is the variety of the end result of their research. A procedure or a new technique, some model, qualitative, descriptive, empirical, or analytical. So they may give a new model, they may give a new procedure, they may give a new notation, new tool. That's it. Okay. The same paper, a similar detail about what kind of questions do researchers in software engineering research ask. Go through these questions and try to think similar questions in your disciplines if your discipline is not software engineering. Can you write some research questions in your discipline based on these examples? Please write. Everybody write some research questions in your discipline based on these examples. Or let me put that in the Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, write some questions here. Here are the examples in software engineering. A question must look like question, Richa. It doesn't look like question. Question should start with, we must have words like what, why, how, when, those kind of things. It must look like a question. So rephrase it. Questions are more important than answers in research. If you have the right question, then you will be able to do good research. But if you do not have a good question, you will spend a lot of time and not be able to do research. In order to do good research, you must have good quality questions. And one has to be very, very creative, one can be very innovative, very creative in developing questions, new research questions, questions that no one else has ever asked. So you can be specific with reference to your questions. You can be generic with reference to your questions. Develop a practice of asking questions. Try to find out papers where they have discussed research questions in your discipline, if there are any. You should be able to find out some papers where somebody has done a literature review and has identified, like the one I am sharing, this paper is about software engineering. Similar papers would possibly be will be available about other disciplines also. Please search such papers. What kind of questions motivate the researchers? And what kind of questions motivate good researchers? You will see that in the main difference is in the quality of the questions. Somebody who is doing a superficial work versus somebody who is doing a deep work. Their questions itself are very different. So if you want to do great research, try to formulate innovative questions, deep questions. Similarly, here are some questions that motivate computer science education researchers. Go through this list. You can refer to this list also. These are the areas that motivate researchers in the field of computer science education. So I have shown you examples of two areas, software engineering and computer science education. And these are to be used just as examples, and questions on similar lines can be asked in your discipline. Okay. Yeah, I can see good beginning. Okay. I think we can stop here. Are there any questions, doubts, or comments?
Sir, your comments on our questions.
I said good beginning. I already said.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, I have inserted another question also.
I saw your video question.
Sir, there is another one also. Yes.
I can't see that.